Greetings, cowboys and cattle. You know who you are. Today we look at Pittsburgh. It's been called many things. Sky Diamond, Night Stealer, Second Sun. But we all know what it truly is. Plunder for the rich. We'll begin with history. In 2044, Comet 25D Nantucket was tracked on its inbound course to the Sun. Halfway between Mars and Earth, it vanished behind something no one knew was there. An impact flash ended Nantucket's long orbit forever and began a new age for the solar system. The object it struck had been orbiting there for uncountable years, waiting to be seen. The impact blew off its camouflage on one side and started it on a slow rotation. As it rotated, it was laid bare. The camouflage had been a dark substance that gave the object zero albedo, rendering it invisible. But when the newly exposed surface rotated toward Earth, it was blindingly bright. Over time, its shape changed. And when it reached profile, it was plain to see this was no ordinary floater. It was once part of a planet, destroyed by who knows what, that found its way to the solar system and was captured by the Sun. Time and research further opened our eyes. Its smooth side, once a planetary surface, has an area comparable to Australia. It is covered by a cloud of ash that absorbs 100% of the sunlight that touches it. The rough side is completely the opposite, almost 100% reflective. Pitted as a moon, shiny as an iceberg. This is where the object got its name. Pittsburgh. Samples from the smooth side under the ash cloud showed that it was once covered in liquid water. Other samples revealed traces of oxygen and chlorophyll. Gone now, lost to space and time. But this was only the beginning. When the surface was fully mapped, its topography left no doubt. Not only was Pittsburgh once part of a planet slightly larger than Earth, that planet was uninhabited. These are the facts we all know. But it is not the whole truth. Science agencies around the Earth petitioned the UN to declare Pittsburgh a scientific and archaeological preserve. But those who had raped and gutted our planet for profit were already taking the measure of this new plaything. As soon as orbital range allowed, energy corporations sent their own sample return missions to gather the dark ash. With fossil fuels nearly exhausted, it was their best option for the future. Unlike those made on Earth, solar panels with Pittsburgh ash could absorb 100% of the light that touched them. With population at a record high and peak oil long in the past, Earth was starving for energy. This was the answer. The next breakthrough was found under the surface. Dense deposits of helium-3, ripe for the taking. A new gold rush was ignited. In one trip, corporations could gather the ash and crack the fuel needed to bring it back to Earth. But with no serious investment in space to speak of, they lacked reliable hardware. The unholy alliance was struck when Farine Multinational revealed the complete space component system designed by CEO Colton Ferris, the only one who had not turned his back on space investment. His SES was decades ahead of anything else available. Anyone who wanted to exploit Pittsburgh had two choices: lease an SES from Ferris or lose the race to the competition. Thus began the years of chaos. Orbital mechanics brought Pittsburgh into travel range every 2.5 years. Orbital summer, a period lasting 9 months, began with a stampede unlike any in human history, a frenzy of greed that killed half of those obsessed with pillage. Finally, the UN stepped in as a mediator. Pittsburgh was sectioned like a beef carcass. New laws were hastily written to restrain the bloodshed in space. Ash gathering and helium mining could no longer be monopolized, and parcels were strictly enforced. A single victor arose from this: Colton Ferris. No one could reach Pittsburgh or return to Earth without his SES. He was legally prohibited from staking any claim on Pittsburgh, but he needed none. By default, Farine Multinational had a percentage of every find, making Ferris himself the richest man in history. The rest of us can only watch as corporations tear this singular precious object to pieces. Treaties that once prevented them from claiming other orbital bodies are being shredded. Their greed will not stop here. We are their fuel. We support them. Without us, they are nothing. They must be reminded of that. But first, you must be reminded that you are not cattle. Astronomers begins the conversation now. We will reveal the truth about Pittsburgh, the truth about its rapists, and the truth about Colton Ferris. When you know that truth, the blinders will come off.